So in today's video, we're going to do part 2 of this bad boy because I had a few comments about it in terms of how do you find coins that look like that? It's a great question and we are going to go into it in more detail. It's a massive topic and this is obvious, right? I want to give you big value in this video. You need to find the coins that have not done a lot in terms of price action, even though I did say in the previous video you should ignore it in terms of the hype. But you want to look at the obvious, as in the flat line, the ones that look a little bit dead, not much happening, but are actually building significantly behind the scenes, which is obviously hugely important. So let's get into it. So as I've alluded to, we're going to be following on from the previous video around this bad boy, right? Huge, 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 because it is important, right? If you've not yet done so, feel free to check out my channel and hit the subscribe button if you want to know more about psychological stuff on investing and how to kind of win the market, essentially, right? The first thing you need to do is understand what is a good coin and what is a bad coin. Perfectly, there's a thing just been released called WorldCoin. Let's talk about this a little bit. Because to the normal person, people will be like, oh, it's new, it's shiny, I want to buy it. That is a very, very big thing and a very, very obvious, in my opinion, misconception of cryptocurrency. I am different to most. I know. I prefer network effect. I prefer old. I prefer established. Something that's been around a little bit instead of not a lot. It's very rare to find something that is brand new in a bear cycle that will just go bing and pop off like a rocket, right? It doesn't always happen. The reason why I say that is because it's kind of obvious. You need the community, you need the network effect. And those are 2 points that you need and I will follow on from. The reality is you are looking at WorldCoin here with a full dilution market cap of $20.2 billion. Why is that number mental? Because only 1% of the supply is out. And again, I will talk about supplies in a second. So don't get too hasty with pressing the cross button. Trust me. Now, this is where people go wrong. As I've alluded to, people just go for new. In a bull cycle, you probably can get away with it because of the hype. But in a bear cycle, no, it's dangerous, right? You need to pick your battle. So in the previous video, I talked about buying things that have been out or came out at a wrong time or never had a bull cycle, right? Why? Because they're solid projects that have never been seen and never got hyped up. They're under the radar. They're literally under the ground. Think of it like a potato, right? You're digging it up and you're finding a good one or you're finding a dud. Or if you want to go a bit more flashy, looking for the diamond in the rough, right? So WorldCoin is a fantastic example of something you should probably do a lot of research on and figuring out what is happening here. That is a $20 billion asset, technically. Yes, it can go up in value, but where is the rest of the supply? Oh, but people say scarcity. Scarcity is a time thing. And the time of scarcity of this is not going to last forever. It's very different to Bitcoin, right? So let's go on to something that, I know, tell you what we'll do. Let's pick Avalanche, random example. Why is Avalanche a better pick for this situation? It's been around since 2019, for starters. It has had a bull cycle, right? What's going to happen next? Now, this was a $140 asset. Now it's 13, right? So what we need to do, we need to do some research, and research is very simple. Now, if you go down to the link below, there's a website called Learning Crypto. A lot of articles on there, free to use, but there's also other situations on there in terms of guides on how to stake said assets and stuff like that. Check it out. By the way, little bit of a sell here. Sorry. Follow me on Twitter because I'm going to be dropping a massive discount for Learning Crypto Premium. Like huge. Probably the biggest we've ever done because it's my 5th year, mental I know, of being full-time in crypto as of this week essentially. So yeah, do it. You won't be disappointed. Trust me. Anyways, moving on. So what you need to do, you need to find out what is actually happening. So the obvious is, what is it? How does it work? All that kind of nonsense, right? You need to understand literally what you're buying, and that's kind of a given, right? If you don't know that, why are you investing? But there's more to it. I want to talk about the more situation, right? Instead of like, oh, let's go on a website and look at it. It's a bit boring. But the reality is, right, we need to discover a couple of things. One, is it working? Does it work? Is it functional? Does it have a product, right? Kind of obvious. I know, sorry. But some people just buy stuff and there's like, where's the product? There isn't one. Why is it a coin? Now you've said that, I don't know. That kind of situation, but yeah, there's an obvious thing here. We know that, right? That's huge. Now, when you go on the website, have a little gander, and I like to go to the bottom of the website because I think that gives you a much easier flow of where the pages are. You are looking for stuff like stats, right? Now, I know, again, I say it sounds noddy, but you need to see, is it growing? Has it got transactions? Is it working? Yeah. That's huge, right? So you can see the growth. Bang. Obviously, it's shrunk a little bit due to the bear market, but that is still a very, very good signal. Again, you've got the daily gas usage, all this kind of stuff. You can find out all this information on most of your assets, right? Look at it. It's crazy. So it is a fully working project. Kind of obvious. Another thing you need to look at as well, sounds rather noddy, I know, but community. And I've said it before, the community is huge. How many followers does it have? How much engagement do the tweets get? Do they get views on YouTube or whatever it may be in terms of what they're releasing? All that kind of stuff is huge because you need to have that kind of lemon effect, right? If you've ever played the games of lemons, it's like that. You need that kind of effect where whatever happens, they will go with it. Good news, bad news, whatever it may be. So you want projects to be supported in the bad and pumped up essentially in the good, right? And this is our ecosystem. There's a lot of things happening here on the core website. Oh, my name, hello. So you can see what's actually happening overall. And this is the ecosystem of Avalanche. There's a lot of things going on. So that's another tick in the box. Does it have all this kind of stuff? Yeah. Now, that's kind of the obvious, but also you got to think as well, products, do they have wallets? Yes, they do. All this kind of stuff. And the more you look, the more you see, and the more easier it gets. And again, video tutorials, validators, documentation, support. They have all kinds here. They have absolutely all kinds to support you on your journey. That is huge. But again, other things we need to be aware of is something called GitHub. Proof of GitHub is huge. Now, when we're looking at stuff like this, we need to see, do projects or are projects actually actively developing? Now, this is a great website. I'm just showing you this on Twitter. It's just a simple way of doing it. You can see Cardano, Polkadot, Stratus, Internet Computer, all those kind of stuff. And you'll see all the different ones that are coming through. Now, some projects develop more than others. Some do it in certain days. So it mixes and matches, right? But the one thing that you can do, if you go into CoinMarketCap again, go over to the source code, click on it, you will get to the GitHub, and you can see that they are actually active. So the last 5 days, you've had 9,030 commitments, right? Huge. So it is active. You can see when they've been doing it. So always check your coin, always check certain things. And again, going back to the simple lines of, well, what's happening with the community? If you literally go onto their Twitter or whatever, it sounds dumb to say this, but find out when their last tweet was. When you're looking like some projects, people like go, oh, Ash, can you look at this project for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then you go onto it and you're like, right, okay, let's have a little look. And you find out the volume's at like $4,000 and they've not tweeted since January of 2022. You're probably thinking, well, I'm probably dead, mate. So that sort of situation you got to look for. So when you start finding these assets and doing your research and knowing what's actually happening, it's actually a massive thing. Then you look at the price, you're thinking, wow, that's low. That's cool. But when we're looking at that, obviously all the information, all the data, all that stuff, and obviously do your research on the team. Is the team okay? Have they been involved in scams before? Have they done this, that, and the other? Huge, right? Massive factors. Going back to the last thing really is what I mentioned before with WorldCoin, the supply. Now, this is huge. It's a double-edged sword really. Avalanche has 48% out. And what you are looking for is, are you going to get destroyed by venture capitals or whatever? Now, Rose is on there. I'm an investor in Rose, like it a lot. I'm an investor in quite a few projects that do have this sort of situation. Again, Avalanche is here. 52% is kind of out. So if we go into Avalanche here, what we can get is some data, finding out when the next token unlocks are. Now, what this means is basically you are going to get release of tokens from whatever, and it will get distributed to the market, right? Now, some people sell, some people don't. It depends on what happens with the market. But there's still a situation with Avalanche that may well play into your hands because they're still doing token releases, right? Up until a certain point. Now, these all kind of run out at certain points. You can see at the bottom of the date. Now, it starts to level off roughly into 2025. Which is always quite good, and it gets a little bit less aggressive, but a lot of it is basically staking rewards, kind of like Polkadot in a way, where it's mainly staking rewards. But once you get to this point here, a lot of the airdrops and the team stuff kind of just stops and it flatlines, right? Cool. So you got to be somewhat alert to that. But again, this may well play into your hands for more sell-offs to get cheaper prices or cheaper for longer to dollar cost average in. Right? Makes sense? Goody. Because you do not want to buy an asset. Rose is a great example just to show you, you don't want to buy an asset where you were buying, it's like, oh, obviously it's already up here. It's fine again. We're looking at, the end of 2024. Flatline. Cool, because most of it is going to be partners and reserves that are going to get released out, which isn't too bad, whereas a lot of the core contributions and the backers, the VCs, are going to get kicked out of it. Not so much kicked out of it, but you know what I mean. They're not going to get more fundage. So into the bull hype, it may well be totally fine, but into a bear market, this is why a lot of projects fall really, really low, and it creates a little bit of a problem. But yeah, as you can imagine, there's a lot of things that are like a lot higher. Because I've already had token unlocks, and once those VCs are out the way, once those team expenditure is out the way, it is absolutely massive. Another newer release is Arbitrum. Now this is huge because obviously a big token unlock. Now these are quite big token unlocks. I want to just kind of show you. You don't really want to get caught out at the wrong moment with this one, just in case it does something and you don't like it. Because when you start looking at the multiple billions that are going to come out of it, it's going to start, how much can a project keep up with it? Now, sometimes in a bull market, it's totally fine because they've got that hype, they've got that pressure to be able to withhold it. But in a bear cycle, it's a very different story. So this is why you often go on to projects, and this is Bitcoin Cash random, where they look like this. Nothing's really happening. It's just happening like that, and it's absolutely crazy. When we've talked about the likes of DOT, mentioned it before with Cardano, right? All the projects can do this and withhold it, which is good. So there we go. I think I'm done. If you want to know more about research and stuff like that, check out Patreon. You'll see my journal, what I'm looking at, what I'm buying, what I'm selling, as well as extra videos and all that kind of good stuff. But again, follow me on Twitter. Big offers on Learning Crypto Premium, which does include courses, includes daily videos. It's not just me, it's a full team. They're very, very different things. So yeah,